Hello guys, it's John here. Today I'm doing another Bottleman video. This time is a discussion on Royal Gryphon DX. So I have talked about this thing a couple times now. I had my whole unboxing on it where I really went over it a lot, and then also I touched more on it in my ranking video. But for this video I want to do something a little bit different that I didn't really get into with either of those videos. I would recommend watching the unboxing, maybe the ranking, for kind of just information on Royal Gryphon itself, because I'm not going to be going over everything about it here. But for this video, I want to talk about the cores. So basically, this is something that they did advertise, and basically you could swap out one of the cores to match the other. So you could swap out this core for a speed core, or this core for a control core. The idea of this is that you basically will have matching cores, and therefore matching attachments. So, I guess without that though, this thing of course does have the triple shot, and, well, having a magazine and a barrel is a little bit awkward in my opinion. First up, of course, there is the double control core setup, which I'm not even going to show because I'm just going to tell you right now it's not worth the time. This base setup is better. You have a magazine, which is actually kind of important for this thing. So I didn't actually mention this before, and I wish I did, but having a magazine is actually not useless, even though, yes, you can only, I mean, if you shoot the triple shot, you only have the one magazine, then, I mean, at that point, well, you have, I guess, 4 single shots. But what that does is, so basically when you reload this, you have to reload 3 individual cores, right? With a magazine, this means that you only have to reload 2 cores. You have 5 caps in here. You shoot, 1 triple shot, you still have 4 caps left. You only have to reload these 2. In my opinion, this is actually a pretty notable advantage. So, going to a double control setup with 2 barrels, will that make this thing more accurate? Probably a little bit, but at the same time, you're going back to, having to reload 3 cores. It's not worth the effort at all. The barrels, they just don't do enough for this thing to warrant having to reload an extra core every single shot. So with that's why I'm not really going into it, because again, it's just not worth the effort. But what about having 2 speed cores? I feel like that's a little bit more interesting, so let me go ahead and get this thing adjusted with a second speed core. Alright, now that has been dealt with, and we have a fully speed core version thing, I don't know where I'm going with this, of Royal Gryphon DX. So, obviously the center core is still the, same core, which, I mean, it has to be, so, yeah. But, I swapped out the Argreno core, or I guess it's the control core, for a speed core. I do actually have 2 of the Royal Gryphon DX sets, because I wanted to display both Argreno and Elmo Kaiser separately, while also having Royal Gryphon DX displayed. So I went ahead and used the same speed course we got with Elmo Kaiser, and also that means I had 2 of these long magazines in black, which is really cool. They do advertise using the DX set, the Bottleman DX customized set, rather. I don't know why I said DX set. Anyway, yeah, the customized set. If you have that, you have a spare control core. And if you swap that out with Ayawashi DX, you can have like a spare control or speed core instead if you use the control version of Mario DX. And with that speed core, you'd attach it to this thing with the gray magazine. It's a little bit convoluted, but if you have that, you could swap around some stuff and have an extra speed core. Or just take apart a random Bottleman to use it here. Anything works really, whatever, but yeah. So, what does this do? So obviously, aside from just looking really cool, this thing does have some genuine functionality that I kind of think is a little busted. So, I'm just going to say right now, this thing was 5th place in my ranking video. I genuinely think that with the double magazines, this thing not only exceeds Dragogena DX, but I also argue it exceeds CC Land DX and probably Colmar Energy DX and potentially even my number 1 Dotpepion DX. Now, it's not like Red Arrow Sighter level in my opinion, I still think that's the best thing, but I think this still beats out everything on the ranking video in their stock forms. I know that's definitely a take right there. I'm sure a lot of people will say no, like hell no, that's not happening, but let me explain my reasoning here. So with this thing, you have 2 long magazines. This gives you some versatility because basically what you now have is yeah, it's kind of spread out, but you basically have a triple shot, but then you can go into 4 double shots. And again, it's spread out, I know. But still, you have that versatility to where you can have those double shots. But like I was saying earlier, you can also choose to reload. And with that, you only have to reload 1 single cap into 1 core. And that gives you 5 triple shots like that. I personally think that is busted. Because again, you have, you could just see right here, I have both of these magazines fully loaded. That means after my first shot, this cap's gone, I have to reload it, but then I still have 4 more, caps left in these magazines and cores. To me, that is insane. Again, a single reload triple shot with 5 shots out of that. Or you just do a triple shot and then you don't have to reload at all and you just get 4 somewhat awkward double shots. I would definitely suggest reloading every time, but again, if you're scrambling, you can still fall back on those double shots. And yeah, they're not the best, but it's still something if you need it. So because of that, I feel like this thing just ends up with a ton more versatility. And also just, it ends up being way faster because it has, only a reload of 1, instead of 2. Or if you're using this thing without any speed cores, or just not attachments, or no attachments rather, it's 3 cores to reload, which is a lot. Two cores is also a lot, but like 1 core, that's not bad when you're getting a triple shot out of it, especially. So, in my opinion, this thing is a little bit insane. So yeah. Now, this thing is definitely a little bit awkward still. Like, yeah, when you're shooting this thing, is it awkward to use, in my opinion? Kind of. I guess you can almost use these like a little bit of a grip if you really want to, but I guess reloading this thing is a little bit of a pain with this because you have the 2 magazines blocking, so yes. Is it a bit of a pain to reload like this? I guess you can go over the top, but still, it's awkward to reload. I'll have to say that much. But outside of that, what you get out of this thing, in my opinion, is just worth it. So, yeah, this thing, it's good. If you have the means to try out Royal Gryphon with a speed core and a second long magazine, or I guess two speed cores and 2 long magazines, I'd say to give it a try. Maybe you won't think it's beating out every stock Bottleman like I do, but I feel like you'll see that it is a significant improvement over the regular version of Royal Gryphon DX. And maybe if you didn't know about the whole thing with the magazines where, it can just allow you to have to reload 2 cores rather than 3 with using it, well now you know, and if you use this, you only have to reload once. So yeah, I recommend trying it out. I think it's a really strong Bottleman regardless. I would still argue this thing is easily top 5. I put this thing at number 5, but I know some people would probably say I'm overrating it in the stock form there, but it definitely exceeds that for sure. In my opinion, regardless of where you'd place the base version, this thing is top 5 compared to other stock Bottlemen at least. Even granting them attachments and stuff. So, yeah, no, this thing is great. Highly recommend checking it out and trying to use this setup. Again, it is a little unfortunate because this is an awkward Bottleman, and I mentioned that in the ranking video. Just the base form's awkward, but the 2 magazines makes reloading a little weird, but it's worth it in my opinion. So there you go. You can always try out some other armors and stuff if you want to. Try out some different styles. Maybe it'll make it a little easier somehow, but I don't know. I feel like the main problem really just comes from this magazine gap here, which isn't very big. Although, I do have massive hands, so that might be part of the problem. I don't know. That's like the one thing where I'm kind of not sure on. But outside of that, yeah, no, this thing's great, and I've reiterated that a few times now. So, yeah, that's basically all I have to say about this thing. Highly, highly suggest trying this out. And yeah, I want to make sure to get a couple more Bottleman discussions in before we get into some negative stuff, because I've had a lot of negative stuff to say about Bottleman recently, unfortunately. But yeah, here's a positive one for you. So yeah, next one will be in a couple days. It should also be a bit more positive, and then after that, my next Bottleman video, after my next one, yeah, we'll get there. But anyway, that's all for this video though. So thanks for watching, and bye bye.